On this edition of W2F, Brian here, joined with the normal group, Bass Daddy and Matt. We are previewing week 3. It's already going by so fast, but we don't think about that. We just focus in the moment. And at the same time, we go back in time. We're not totally in the moment because we will be discussing a little bit of the top week 2 storylines, the things that are making this league tick right now. And we start there once again with our Monday coaches meeting segment, a chance for each of us to get up in front of the team and lay it all out there and try to perhaps convey a message that no one else out there is, but everyone out there needs to hear. And without further ado, Matt, I'm going to let you have the floor. Which team, which player, whatever the case may be, are you going to convey that message to right now?
Look, so Brian, I don't know that this message hasn't been conveyed. Actually, I know it has been conveyed a little bit, but it's just something I need to echo and get out there further and further. Brian, we're going to talk about the Los Angeles Chargers, right? I mean, I'm always, feeling like on the up and up with the Chargers. I'm like a little worried, being a Chiefs fan. I'm like, they could actually put it together and be a real threat. But then, they just end up charging it up. Brian, I think what I want to say for my Monday coaches meeting is, what is up with this coaching, right? I mean, obviously, this is kind of the theme for them. I don't want them to get rid of Brandon Staley, but if the Chargers are ever going to do anything, and you may not agree with me because I know you're kind of indifferent on Herbert, depends on the day, I think they got to get rid of him. They got to get a new head coach. And you know what? If I were them, just not waste any more time. Let's get rid of him. Let's axe him right now, right this week. Let's elevate the OC. We got nothing to lose, I feel like, So, Chargers, make the move. Pull the trigger. Do something crazy. Week 3 firing of Brandon Staley.
Here's the thing. You are right. That's what they should do, but they should have fired him before the season. They should have fired him back in February or January. And so even though that's the move, it's not what's going to happen. If they were going to do it this early, they would have done it 8 months ago when it made even more sense, perhaps. Now, that being said, I agree, and I think he is kind of the elephant in the room, if you will, holding that team back. Herbert gets a little too much slack for my money. I tried to tell you, I tried to tell Dad, anyone who would listen all off season. Everybody blames the offensive coordinator there. Why are they not going downfield? Well, only one guy gets to get the ball from the center and decide what's going to happen with said football when it's a passing play. Like, I can draw up any play, the best, the worst. We can go high school level, NFL level. It doesn't matter. And yeah, there are reads and tells that should determine theoretically where the ball goes, but one guy has that finger on the trigger, and it's Herbert. And I still see that offense not taking the chances that maybe they should. Not going to say it's costed either of these games because they've scored points. But my point would be it's not all Staley, but he does eat a big part of the blame. And yeah, he does need to be fired. It just won't happen.
No, I don't think it will either. And frankly, if I'm being honest, being a Chiefs fan, I don't want it to happen, right? Because I think this is going to continue that Charger cycle, where they've got a great team. They've got a great stacked roster. But at the end of the day, they're going to score points, and they're going to blow the game in the end. And I love to see it personally. But I'm just saying, for their sake, if they want to make an actual move, that's the one to make.
Well, and I'm also thinking about something else that was in my mind. The AFC, it's too early to say, let's take a look at the wild card race. I mean, everybody's trying to win a division right now. But if you're a team who was kind of entering the season on the fringe of, we might be a playoff team, tight AFC, you've got to look at this and be thrilled. I mean, you said it, Chiefs fans obviously love that they're 0-2. I imagine even someone like Bass Daddy, a Steelers fan, who, when it's all said and done, if Baltimore, if Cleveland, Cincinnati win that division and you're trying to get that wild card spot, the way the Chargers have started this season might be just what gets you in over LA. So it's good for everyone involved, except for those godforsaken fans who have not had a lot to celebrate in years past.
Luckily, it's few and far between as far as fans go too. So they've got that going for them. Not too many people disappointed.
Well, with that being said, I'll take it to another team in the AFC. Um, Mine, and I've seen some discussions on other shows already this week, kind of bouncing these two teams around. Both 0-2, Chargers first. I'm gonna go to the Bengals, and of course they are really just going through it right now. The most optimistic Bengals fan would say, well, we were 0-2 last year and we still were a player or two away from a Super Bowl appearance. I just wonder, guys, is this one different? Is this season different? There's a little bit of it to me that feels like not your year type of waves occurring. None bigger than Burrow's calf. You know, Maybe he turns out to be okay. Maybe he plays Monday and looks like his old self. Far be it for me to expect that. I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. I mean, even if he does get healthy, I think you're talking another month before it really starts to show itself. And how much longer before Zach Taylor kind of loses this locker room just a little bit? Not in that I don't think any of the players think he's a bad coach or that he's even the problem, but this is a team that has the weight of expectations crashing down on them. It's not really getting any lighter. It's not like fans are saying, in the season right now. But, how many more games can Jamar Chase go under 50 yards before he starts rocking the boat? We know he's trying to get a contract next off season that's going to set NFL record. Um, it's a cause for concern. The defense not really playing as well as maybe they have typically, especially last week against the Ravens. To lose 2 division games to start the year, I'm not writing them off. I'm not saying that they're dead, but in the coaches meeting component of it, what I am saying is I'm feeling pretty bad about their odds of winning the division, which I didn't pick them to win the division anyway, but I don't know, man. It's going worse than even I could have anticipated. And I wonder how you guys are feeling on it. Do you think this is just a speed bump, or are they not a playoff team by chance?
They're not a playoff team. I don't think they are. And not this year. I just, from what I've seen so far, I can't say that they are. I don't know why. I've watched a few of the plays where, say, they're like on the 10-yard line, 7-yard line. Jamar Chase all by himself, split out, no help over top. Why are we not throwing a fade route to that guy?
Yeah.
I just don't get it. I didn't see them take many shots with Jamar Chase when he was one-on-one. You got a quarterback in Burrow and Chase that have so much chemistry over the years. They've had so much success. Why wasn't – that's a guy that needs to be targeted, 10, 12 times a game. So I guess I was, a little worried about that. But also, I don't understand I never really thought Lamar Jackson was a quarterback that could pick apart a defense with his arm. But he made Cincinnati's defense look like a junior varsity high school defense. And like you said, their defense, it's cause for concern.
100%. Bassati, speaking to what you were saying about them not throwing the deep ball as much to like Jamar and probably T. Higgins for that matter, which if you really think about it, that's what the Bengals' bread and butter has been over the past few seasons. Nothing really that complex offensively. Like, hey, just run deep. I'm going to throw it up. Hopefully we get lucky. And a lot of times that's worked out. I think maybe something that's going to hold them back this season is I think that calf injury is still not healed. And it's creating a little bit of issues for Burrow to deliver that ball downfield. And I don't know that that's going to get any better because, if he's going to continue playing, how's he going to heal necessarily? And I don't know. You're right, Brian. This boat could be taken on water, which is a little crazy to say at this point in the season. And they may prove us wrong, but looks a little sketchy right now.
A week or two before the season started, they weren't even very optimistic about him starting week 1. I feel like it was something that they rushed it. You got a team. Any NFL team, their quarterback goes down, you're pretty much fucked in the ass.
Oh, you are.
This Cincinnati Bengals team, why would they rush him? I don't guess I understand that.
Maybe a spot where you can't protect the player from himself. I'm sure Burrow was telling them, hey, I'm good, it's fine. getting better, whatever. But if this team were to sneak in, let's say as the 6th, the 7th seed, and he was healthy, and let's just say everybody else was, that's a very dangerous team. That's a team that can take that 7 seed and run it all the way to the Super Bowl if all the chips fall just right. The problem is, Bass Daddy, you said it. Okay, Matt, you as well. He doesn't look healthy right now. Well, he's not. We know that. And if he plays or not this week or the next 2 weeks, looking at this schedule, you could dig yourself a hell of a hole pretty fast. I mean, we're going to talk about it and predict the Monday night game against the Rams. The Rams are not an easy out for anybody. We thought they might be. They're not. Like they're going to be in games all season long. Then you go to Tennessee the week after. That's not a gimme. Titans always play teams like the Bengals tough, and you can guarantee that one's going to go down to the last drive. They do have a gimme against Arizona, but then they go and play Seattle Seahawks, 49ers, Buffalo Bills. You could easily, if Burrow's not right, if he's not playing, this could easily be a 2-6 team, a 1-6 team. And if that's the case, I don't think you can dig out of that hole in the AFC.
But if Burrow is healthy, with that defense, Burrow's still going to be expected to put up 30 points a game to stay in a lot of these, I think, because that defense looked absolutely horrible.
And he's played bad. So it's like, okay, he's active Monday night. Well,
Yeah.
we don't have any reason to believe that that's going to lead to results. We know he'll be playing banged up, just like he has been. And it's been a struggle to break 100 yards passing in a full game so far this year. And the Rams defense, not a lot of names, but pretty decent so far. They still got Aaron Donald. We'll see. That'll be definitely one we talk about later on. Let
me ask you boys something real fast before. Just one more question on the Bengals topic, fellas. So look, it's no secret we know that Joe Burrow got paid the massive contract. Sometimes something like that brings so much comfort it leads to complacency. Do you think that's a possibility with a guy like Joe Burrow? Do you think he's that type of guy? Do you think that could affect them in general? I don't know. Just throwing that out there.
No, I don't. I think that would be an inaccurate perception. He had the calf injury before the contract was finalized. Now, if you wanted to say, are the Bengals kind of maybe getting a little bit of karma per se? Because if you remember, they announced that contract right at the kickoff of the Chiefs-Lions game, and it was kind of like, this is weird. Like, why would you do this right at the start of that game? They were trying to obviously do something a little petty and not even give their guy a full day to just kind of shine in the limelight. But he's motivated. He's one of those. He's a competitor. I don't think that's it. I just think the team, it's a lot of pressure they're under right now, and it's mounting quick.
Or what if signing said contract is what ultimately drove Burrow, like you said, getting in his own way? He's like, I got to play in this game. I got to play in these first couple weeks because I'm getting paid buku bucks. You know what I mean? I got to be there for my team. So I don't know. Maybe it got him that way. You never know.
If I pay a quarterback that much money, I'm not letting him start week 1 with that lingering cap issue. I'm going to start somebody else. And, on top of that, when he comes out week 1 and throws for 70 yards, I'm going to say, hey, obviously you're not okay.
Yeah.
We're going to get you reevaluated and you're going to sit out another couple weeks. I mean, it's like having a brand new bass boat and letting it sit out in a damn hailstorm. You pay all that money for something and expect good results and, great things. Well, I mean, it's just stupid as shit.
That's the perfect Bass Daddy metaphor.
Yes,
I love
it is. And I can't wait for more because, Bass Daddy, it's now your turn to take over the coaches meeting. Who you got?
I'll hop on it. I'm going to talk some shit on Pittsburgh again this week. I was in attendance Monday night. And to get things started, I should have known it was going to be a shit show because pre-game, I'm tailgating at this little party. They got a live band. They got some pulled pork, mac and cheese I'm eating on. And I'm not going to lie, I was buzzing a little bit, had me a few beers, letting loose a little bit, having some fun. I look over at this big tailgate. Anybody's welcome at this tailgate party. It's free, you know. There's a lot of people there. I don't even know if this is legal or not, but there's a fellow with Down syndrome there just getting hammered, chugging beers, clearly drunk. He could hardly walk. I'm not talking crap on anybody with mental disabilities. I have family members with, I've got a family member with a mental disability, okay? But is it not illegal for somebody with special needs to consume alcohol? Seriously. I mean, is it legal?
I don't know.
This guy's drunk. He's getting in the face of Browns fans going, "Fuck you, motherfucker." Just begging to get his ass whooped.
He was in it.
So,
He was into it.
Yeah, wearing a Denzel Ward jersey that was probably about 4 or 5 sizes too small. This guy's pushing probably about 360. But he was, I don't even know if he made it into the stadium. It was very disturbing. But it's about as disturbing as Matt Canada, okay? Don't get me wrong. Kenny Pickett missed a couple throws, looked rushed. He looked uncomfortable for the most part in the game. When you have somebody like this running your offense, you're not going to look comfortable. You're going to be stressed out. This guy is ruining Kenny Pickett. I'm not saying Kenny Pickett is Joe Burrow. I'm not saying Kenny Pickett is Patrick Mahomes. He'll never be that good. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying, I think Kenny Pickett is a winning quarterback in the NFL. With Matt Canada's silly, stupid ass, he's not. He's ruining Kenny Pickett, Pat Freiermuth, Najee Harris. A lot of these guys, I mean, there was a 3rd and 3 to seal the game, to put the game away. And they try a whole bunch of motions behind the line of scrimmage, and Kenny Pickett gets fucking hit hard. You know, some quarterback draw play gets fucking drilled like a yard or two behind the line of scrimmage. I'm just confused by it. Let me just read you a couple stats here from Matt Canada's offense this year. 4.9 average plays per drive, ranked 32nd in the NFL. 21.4 average yards per drive, 32nd in the NFL. 1 minute and 59 seconds is the average drive length, 32nd in the NFL. 8.7% of drives ending in TDs, 32nd in the NFL. 17% of drives ending in points, 32nd in the NFL. It's horrible on him, but what the fuck is Tomlin doing as well? Yeah. In the press conference, Tomlin was asked about it, and Tomlin says, he was asked in reference to the fans chanting "Fire Canada" after that quarterback draw that I was telling you about to seal the game. All 68,000 fans at Acrisure Stadium Monday night were yelling "Fire Canada." It was loud. I went back and watched it on TV when I got home, and you could hear it. In reference to that, Mike Tomlin, when he was asked about it, Mike Tomlin said, "I'm fine with that. I want our fans to be fat, sassy, and spoiled. So I appreciate them. They want us to be good. We want to put on a show for them. Yada, yada, yada. Okay, if you want us to be fat, sassy, and spoiled, why the fuck is this guy in town still calling our plays? He's had 3 fucking years to get this right, and this is the result. Get him the fuck out of town. Get him the hell out of town, bring somebody in that knows how to run an offense, and then we'll figure out if we got anything with Kenny Pickett or not. I'm not ready to ditch Kenny Pickett yet because I want somebody to come in here that has a great offensive mind to see if he's any good. You put another quarterback in this offense with this fucking clown, they're not going to look any better. I'm just saying. So he's the fucking issue. That's where I'm starting. Get rid of him. Get somebody in here that knows what the hell they're doing. See what we got then. If that doesn't work, get rid of Pickett's ass. Start fresh. Offense is struggling to find their identity. I still think we can, I still think we're going to win some games, but we got to get this dipshit out of town. He's got 10 plays that he calls. 80% of them are the same slant play. I don't understand. So my coach's segment, I'm telling Tomlin, obviously, I know he's watching this. I'm already fat, obviously. And you can tell by the way I'm talking, I'm sassy. I'm not spoiled because our fucking offense sucks. So get Canada's donkey ass out of Pittsburgh because he's a piece of shit.
Speaking of coaches segment, that felt like a halftime. Team's down. We're down 14 at half. It's like coach is coming in. He's punching a hole in the door. Like, you got to get it together.
We won
I'm
the
juiced
game,
up
but
after that.
I'm legitimately pissed. This shit's been going on for 3 years. He should have been gone 2 years ago.
No, I'm with you, dude. What's interesting about that is you have had his head on a stake for like 2 years now, and it's everyone else is finally catching up. I think that's kind of interesting. They're like, yeah, this guy really does blow. And I mean, personally, I'm like, yeah, get rid of him and pick it in Tomlin while you're at it, and just keep Watt and see what you got. It's basically what you're working with anyway. But I'm with you, man, Bass. You got me fired up. I'm juiced up with you, man. Yeah.
I've got pissed just talking about it.
I like it. I like to see that fire.
I'm seeing red.
Matt, you said it there. They got Watt, and my fear is any more time with this coordinator, because we all watched Monday night. That's the blessing and the curse of being in a standalone Monday. Let's talk about that for a second, too. Great presentation, the Pittsburgh game. They're just killing it. Buck is he's rejuvenated. Some of the calls that Buck is putting together are memorable, but I'll put that on ice for now. So everybody sees it. Everybody knows what's going on. In the offense for Canada, I mean, it's just terrible. Terrible. You can tell there's no rhythm. There is no identity. And you worry, okay, if we keep letting this go on, are we going to waste another year of a defense that clearly is good enough to get you into the dance? That would be my fear. And it's at the point now where, okay, Tomlin hasn't fired him. I really wondered Tuesday morning, are the Rooneys going to step in? At what point? Because if you'll remember, during the offseason early on, Art Rooney said, or maybe I have the wrong one, I'm not sure, said, hey, we're going to get back to Steelers football. We're going to run the football. Not just run it, but run it well. It's not happening. This offense looks the same as it did last year. And it's, quite frankly, cost them the first game in large part, but definitely came close to costing the second game. So you take some solace. You say, okay, we're 1-1. If you're 0-2 right now, maybe he is gone, and maybe that's worth the loss. But 1-1, I still think this is a 9, 10, 11 win team, just depending on how this offense either does or doesn't find its footing. But I don't think they go under 500. The defense is too strong, just like we saw the other night. I mean, they won that game. You get 2 defensive touchdowns, and it's crazy. It's incredible. At what point, Tomlin's too loyal? When do the Rooneys say, we can't afford to waste another year of TJ Watt's prime, or now Alex Highsmith entering his prime? Patrick Peterson's an older player. The defense is ready. That's the point. And you have weapons. The offensive line is good enough. There's just one big elephant in the room, and I don't think it's Kenny yet. I don't, because I watched the way that offensive play calling doesn't line up. It doesn't make any sense. That quarterback run you're talking about, Bass Daddy, I don't even have a dog in the fight, and I was really pissed watching it because it was just such a dumb thought. I wouldn't even have that in the book, let alone call it in that spot. So that's just tough. And like I said, I still think they're a playoff team with Canada or without. But without, you wonder how far can they go? Who would the succession plan be, Bass Daddy? If they toss him tomorrow, and they're not going to, obviously, but if they did, who steps in and finishes the year out at OC?
To be honest with you, I really don't know.
Yeah.
I think we'd be more bringing in somebody from outside the organization. And here's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about bringing in somebody. Here, let me say this. I'm a diehard loyal Steelers fan. I would be willing to sacrifice a couple more bad losses for the next couple weeks to get him the hell out of town. Because what I don't want is I don't want to get lucky on a couple good play calls, this Sunday night against, the Raiders. and coming out and looking half decent, causing him to stick around a little bit longer because we know it's going to be the same old song and dance. To be able to have a successful running game, like anybody with any football common sense knows, the defense has to be somewhat afraid of the deep threat, to back them off a little bit, to open a few things up. We tried targeting downfield maybe twice, 3 times. We got the weapons to do it. You've seen a little flash of it. Why we're not doing that, I don't know. 80% of our pass plays are slant plays, and it's so predictable. It's stupid. But what I am afraid of is waiting until week 8 to get rid of Canada and trying to bring in a completely different offensive scheme, and that's going to throw this young quarterback, it's going to throw him for a loop. I'd rather rip the Band-Aid off now, week 3, week 4, get a new offense in here, get him more comfortable, get him back to what he was doing in college. He was a successful quarterback in college. We draft him and we put him into a completely different offense. So I don't understand that. So, anyways, I'm going to stop rattling on about it, but he needs to get the fuck out of town.
No one's happier to see that Raiders defense on the upcoming schedule than Matt Canada. And let's be fair, they have faced 2 of what I would consider the better defenses in the league right now. But I don't know. I think Tomlin, he loves consistency. He is consistent. So he's going to want the system to change the same. To stay the same. The question is, can you get someone else to call the plays?
Exactly. No, yeah, I get that 100%. Yeah, we need a different play caller in there.
But we'll see. It's big time though, and it's going to make or break that team. All right, boys, we roll into week 3, and it starts tonight in San Francisco. Amazon. Man, here we go again. And I haven't looked ahead to the upcoming schedule, but this is a tough one. We got the 49ers and the Giants. Obviously, New York, we've got injury issues. The left tackle, Andrew Thomas, out. I think he got that Nick Bosa flu, if you will. And then Saquon, of course, he's out. And it sounds like it's maybe not as bad as they thought it was going to be originally. But at the end of the day, without him, I don't know how that offense, which hasn't looked that good anyway, with him, how do they function in this environment against one of the best defenses we have in this league? Niners favored by 10.5, over under 44. Before I pass it off to you, Matt, I'll just say right now, I got Niners winning 31-12. I think it's going to be a real slop fest for the Giants, that is. And the Niners will just be on cruise control. One more week for them to really feel good about their outlook.
Yeah, no, I can't say I'm super excited about this game. It kind of feels like Amazon's finally catching their, not no pun intended, they're coming in their prime, right? They're getting back into that mode of getting Thursday night games that we're just not really all that amped up about. And I don't think this one's going to be great by any means at all. New York struggles still. They did come back and beat Arizona, so I guess tip the cap for that. But with that said, I don't think it's going to be much of a match for San Francisco. I got also San Francisco winning 31-16, so pretty close on scores.
Hey.
I'll jump right in behind you. It won't take too much time.
That's what she said.
Yeah. The Giants, I think that they spent too much money on Saquon and Daniel Jones. In San Francisco, they're going to get their butts fucked and creamed in. I got San Francisco blowing their assholes out 36-6.
That's a hell of a whomping. I mean, I honestly can see it, but I respect the relentlessness to hey, that might come back around later in the show. Guys, I don't know about you, but going through these games, this feels like, if I could put a phrase on this week, it's blowout week. I mean, prediction-wise, there's just not a lot that I'm feeling are going to be great product. And
a lot of teams are going to get blown.
Facts. Okay, going to one of the games that I actually do think will be very good. We go to Detroit, 1-1, hosting their second home game, and they're coming off that tough loss to the Seahawks. But they are a 3-point favorite right now over the 2-0 Atlanta Falcons, who come into town. Arthur Smith, Bijan Robinson, Desmond Ridder. These guys are hot right now, and they got a big win against the Packers, over under 46.5. Matt, I'll let you begin on this one. Do the Falcons keep this going? Undefeated. Been a long time since they've been good, let's say.
Yeah, this is honestly a tough game to pick. I don't totally know what to make of Atlanta at this point. They have a ton of weapons on offense, like you just mentioned. Obviously, the guy that's looking to hold them back, the quarterback. I'm not sold on Ritter yet. He's got some dubs and he got some plays made when he needed to. We'll see if he can continue to do so. Last week I called it exactly right on the money. I thought that Detroit would take a step back and fall to Seattle. And they did. They did exactly that. So I do expect them to rebound a little bit this week. It's going to be a close game. It's going to come down to the wire. Late kick. Detroit wins this bad boy 26-23. Maybe a little less high scoring as people might expect.
Yeah, I think Detroit, they had a little hiccup coming back to Ford Field. I think Atlanta, that division is just crazy. 3 of the teams being 2-0. If you really didn't know what the fuck was going on and you looked at this division and looked at the standings, you'd be thinking like, shit, this might be the best division in football. You know, if you were a little boy and didn't really know any better, it would have you fooled. Honestly, yeah, you wouldn't know really. But I think Atlanta's a good enough team to win that division. But I have Detroit beating them this weekend, 30-21.
Well, I guess I'll be the odd one, boys, because I'm riding the Falcons, and this is a health-driven pick for me. I do admit I'm usually prone to putting a little too much weight probably into injury reports, but I look at the Lions. You know, they lost 2 key pieces of that defense. James Houston out for half the season at least, who had, I think, led the team in sacks last year as a rookie. And then they lose Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who honestly probably a karma injury there. I mean, that guy talks a lot of smack, but now he's out for the year with a pec. And then report today that Amon-Ra St. Brown not practicing with a toe injury. And if he's out, obviously that's a game changer. They're already down Jamison Williams for the gambling. Here we go. I think Atlanta, Smith's tough. That running game travels. They're going to pack that thing up on Southwest or whatever their preferred airline is, and they're going to win this one 24-23. So I do have Atlanta obviously covering, but narrowly winning as well. They get to 3-0.
If St. Brown's not playing, yeah, I'll flip flop with you 100%. I mean, that's a game changer.
Way to get that insurance in there. Slip it in. Bad Steady, you want to get that insurance in there?
Have to.
You know what? I'm not going to get that insurance in there.
With or without, they're winning.
No insurance.
I'm going to say with or without, only because I'm just going to. I like Dan Campbell.
I do too.
And I think with Gibbs, Montgomery, is he going to play or is he questionable?
He, I think, is out. Well, I don't have facts on that, but it sounded like he would probably be out.
Damn. I don't know. If this game was in Atlanta, it might persuade me to go a little different. But, maybe Aiden Hutchinson, makes Ritter's life in the backfield a living hell and maybe causes a turnover, that might have that might push the game a little bit more in Detroit's favor or something. If it was in Atlanta, I'd probably ride with it.
But I respect the consistency.
We'll see.
Okay, we go to Baltimore. The Ravens 2-0, hosting the Colts, and it does not seem like Anthony Richardson's going to play right now in the concussion protocol and did not practice on Wednesday. So even with that in mind, I think Vegas, you look at this line, boys, I don't think the quarterback moved it at all. And, of course, Gardner Minshew, an experienced backup, is going to step in for Indy, and they are a 7.5-point dog. Over under 45.5. I struggle with this one because I know the Ravens and they are capable of winning this game by 35. They're also capable of losing it straight up. And the Colts they're that same way where there's games where they do get blown out. And then there's games like last year when they beat the Chiefs week 3 and everybody was shocked. What do you get? I don't know. I do think that it probably might be a benefit a little bit to have Minshew in the lineup. Maybe he doesn't make that one mistake that the rookie perhaps would have. He doesn't offer the same rushing threat, but we'll see if it matters. That being said, I still have the Ravens winning. I still have them covering 27-17 in a game that, doesn't offer a whole lot to remember.
I think last week was kind of the perfect situation and maybe the blueprint that the Colts should carry forward, at least for this season, if they want to compete. I think, having the dynamic of Anthony Richardson's athleticism, him being able to run, things of that nature, but also combine that with Gardner Minshew's ability to play quarterback just extremely well in passive accuracy. I think that might be the recipe for the Colts to succeed. With that said, that's obviously not what's going to happen this week. I think Minshew plays well. He keeps them in the game. Um, the Ravens, they're going to end up winning late with a late score, 29-24. I hope the Colts win, though. I hope Minshew balls out. Always a Minch fan.
I hope Minshew balls out too, obviously being a Steeler fan. Baltimore's at home. It's hard to pick against them at home, but I have them winning with a late field goal. Like you said, Matt, I think Minshew keeps them in the game. I think they win with a late field goal, 27-24. Indianapolis really shocking me, though, with their performances, putting up points. Yeah. And as slow as a start as Jacksonville's off to, I don't really know what's going on with their offense. Look out for the Colts, guys. Division-wise.
Bold. And if they would have pulled out that week one game, it'd really be on. Nothing to just keep in the back of your heads here. Richardson has not finished either of his first two starts. He's a big body, but it's not holding up right now, and that's cause for concern.
I feel like like I said last week, I mentioned it. They're putting too much on the kid.
Oh yeah, and it's easy to do. He doesn't have receivers that anyone really. I mean, Pittman's okay, but he's not a 1A. I don't even know that you'd call him a 1. I think he's a high-end 2. And outside of that, it's just, who does he have? Taylor obviously still riding the bench as he tries to get back here in the next few weeks. Okay, we go to Washington. Commanders also undefeated. One of these surprise unbeatens. And, of course, last week was amazing. They pull off a big-time comeback in Denver, and they hold on for dear life. Now they host the Buffalo Bills. Over under 44. The Bills getting a lot of love here. They're a 6.5-point favorite. I wonder if that spread's just a little rich, if they're maybe getting a little too much love for what happened last week, and we're not remembering what happened the week before. But anyway, Matt, what do you believe?
I think this game's going to be a good one. I think it's actually going to be close. I'm starting to buy in Washington a little bit. They're looking a little potent on offense. Maybe Bieniemy's brought a little firepower alongside Hal to ignite that team over there. With that said, I think Buffalo, they play well. Josh, he throws a pick here, but at the end of the day, they're going to get this game won 28-27. Very close, very exciting.
Yeah, Matt, I agree with you. I think I'm not sold on Washington. Do I think Washington is playing good enough football right now to possibly lock up a wild card spot in the playoffs? Yes, I do. But I can't see them beating Buffalo this week. I think that Washington obviously keeps it close. They're playing decent football. Josh Allen's got to take care of the ball.
Yeah.
Just a turnover machine. I got Buffalo winning this game 28-24.
Commanders are definitely going to be, I think, possibly a franchise where it's going to be December and January, and we say, Commanders are in the wild card slot? And you're like, how's that possible? But then you look back on the schedule and say, oh, they won that game against Denver, and then they won that week one game against Arizona, and they just add up over time, and you kind of forget them because they're not memorable wins, but they add up just the same. That being said, I can't pick them to win here, but I do think they cover. I got Buffalo 27-23, the Red Hogs. I'll let you decide what that means. They're building something nice, right? Bieniemy, I think, is doing something offensively that's fresh and it's good for them. But this is just a little too much of a challenge right now because Buffalo's defense, while it's not perfect, I think Milano, he's playing out of his mind. Maybe he makes that one play that ultimately seals it. Bills win.
Real quick before we move on, you brought up Bieniemy. I know over the past couple weeks, the Chiefs the Chiefs offense has seemed to struggle a little bit. Obviously, being without Kelsey week 1, the defense shined this week versus Jacksonville. Is Bieniemy a guy that you're missing right now as a Chiefs fan?
I mean, it's a TBD, I would say. You could definitely make the argument, but maybe we just need more information, more of a sample size. Because it could change quick. It could continue to go bad. It's just like I don't know. But right now, when I watch them, I see okay. First week, yeah, Kelsey's not there for whatever that's worth. Second week, offensive line penalties, which I wouldn't even necessarily attribute to like the coordinators so much as, the NFL, they really cracked down on the Jawan Taylor thing in a way that I didn't expect. I don't even know if he expected it, considering that he clearly didn't adjust as much to his game. Now it's like, okay, is he going to get penalized 4 times every game? I hope not. Those types of things, I just want to see how that evolves. And does a wide receiver step up and kind of take over the role that Juju Smith-Schuster vacated? Say what you will, he can barely get on the field in New England, but he almost had 1,000 yards last year, and they're just trying to kind of figure that role out. But I think the penalties and the fumbles is really what's getting them right now, and maybe that's partly me.
Well, okay, second part of my question. If your offense looked like this, perhaps maybe a little worse for 3 straight years, would you get a different offensive coordinator?
I hope so. I think I know where
Okay.
you're going with that, but God, I hope so.
I think the Chiefs will be fine. They got Patrick Mahomes, new play caller. They're not gonna come out and start putting up 30, 40 points a game and take off where they were with Bieniemy. It's gonna take a little while, but with Patrick Mahomes, I don't think the Chiefs have anything to worry about. I was just wondering maybe
No,
what your thoughts were.
valid question.
But
AFC East battle. This one, the Patriots, we could probably firmly say are playing for their lives just a little bit. I mean, to see that team go to 0-3, I don't know how they would dig out of that hole. There's already such a limited amount of firepower. But they go to New York. They play the Jets, Zach Wilson. And New England's favored. They're favored by 3 points. The over-under is 36.5, easily the lowest of the week. Respect for the defenses also combined with a lack of respect for those god awful offenses, and so with that in mind, guys, I picked New England to win. I got them winning 20-13, and it's just how can I pick Zach Wilson to win in a spot like this? He looks like the same player as last year, and the type of guy that you take the defense he's facing every single week in fantasy football because he's going to take sacks he shouldn't. He's going to throw 3 interceptions, 2 interceptions, maybe even a pick 6. That's kind of what I'm figuring here is New England maybe makes that one big defensive play that gets him over in a brutal physical brawl. So I don't know, Matt.
Yeah, no, everything in me is wanting to lean towards the Jets, right? I feel like they have the better team defensively. I feel like they have the better weapons. But like you said, Brian, I keep coming back to the Zach Wilson fact, and I cannot get the thought of seeing ghosts out of my head, right? I just feel like that's Zach Wilson, right?
Ooh.
He's going to see some ghosts on Sunday. So yeah, I'm going to take New England. You know how I feel about Mac. I have absolutely next to no respect for his game as a whole. With that said, I'm going to take the New England Patriots to win this game 23-17.
I really wanted to pick the Jets too, just because of that defense. The defense is just amazing. But then I thought about Zach Wilson, and I thought to myself, is Zach Wilson going to beat Bill Belichick? I can't pronounce the bald coach's name, but is he going to outcoach Belichick? No, he's not. Okay, I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair. I think that Belichick's going to shut the run down that the Jets have, and I think that they're going to probably try to double Garrett Wilson. And I don't know really who else is left to make big plays and put up many points. I'm going to take New England winning this game 16-13.
That's just it, man. I mean,
Wow.
Belichick did a pretty good job taking Tyreek away, and or at least limiting the damage. he's going to be able to do that to Garrett Wilson, who, let's be honest, Garrett Wilson's going to get taken away by Zach Wilson's right arm. And he missed a touchdown in Dallas last Sunday. It was a beautiful route, wide open, cooked Diggs' ass, and the ball was almost thrown straight to Diggs, who barely moved. I mean, this is just the epitome of shit quarterback play, and I hate to rain on the guy more than he already gets, but it's just a fact. He's not very damn good. Okay, we'll move
No arguments.
on to one of my personal favorites of the week. Not my favorite, one of my personal. Cleveland hosting the Tennessee Titans. And I know somebody out there is driving. They're saying, "What the fuck's wrong? Why are you looking forward to this game?" I get it. I'm a psychopath. But there's a little bit of just a respect I have for defensive lines that are just quite honestly, they're badasses. And that's what you got here. The Browns, a 3.5-point favorite in Cleveland. The over-under is 39.5. Matt, what do you have here?
Brian, I don't think you are such a psychopath, at least not for this game. I like it, man. I think Cleveland, ear muff at Bass Daddy, I think they should have won that ball game on Monday night, right? Obviously, Deshaun's hands were lubed up too much, whatever it might have been, fumbling the ball around, and the Pittsburgh defense capitalized. I can't fault them for that. With that said, Tennessee got a big win against the Chargers, man. They looked a little bit better last week. I think with that being said, I hate to do it, Brian. I'm doing it. I'm taking Cleveland to beat Tennessee. 28-22, Kareem Hunt's back. Ford was looking sharp. I like it. Deshaun gets it going. I think Cleveland, they get the W.
In this matchup, I think Deshaun Watson's a little rattled. The ass pounding that Pittsburgh gave to him Monday night. And he's used to pounding ass. I don't know if he's necessarily used to his ass getting lubed up and pounded. Pittsburgh used no lube at all. I was there. There was no lube whatsoever. They raw dogged his ass bad. There was no happy ending Monday night for him. With that being said, something I also found weird is, their second string back, Ford, had like 108 yards rushing after Chubb went down, and then they still went out and signed Kareem Hunt, which it's kind of like a dick in Ford's ass, okay, did I not do enough? Which obviously, no, they got to have depth at the running back position. If we wouldn't have ended Chubb's career Monday night, I think I would have picked Cleveland in this matchup at home. But with Chubb's leg getting, fucked up like a noodle, I'm gonna go ahead and pick Tennessee in this matchup. I got Cleveland still keeping it close, but give me Tennessee 26-24.
I guess I'm just thinking on a different level. Not saying in a good way, but I'm just, a lot of my scores I think are a little bit different than what you guys are throwing out there, because I can't see either of these teams breaking 20. I think Watson, Matt, you made the joke,
Wow.
or maybe it was Bass. One of you guys said, he's throwing with lube on his hand. Yeah, I would say it. I mean, some of those passes are just embarrassingly inaccurate. He's throwing balls 7-8 yards out of bounds. I couldn't catch them if I was the ball boy over there. Be out of reach. And it's not good. But beyond that, I said it at the kick. These defensive lines are the story of the game. They are going to make life hell for these quarterbacks. They might not finish the game. They really might not. Especially Tannehill. He's been a little injury prone of late. I think the Browns win. I do. I don't think it's pretty. But I think that defense, they make just a couple more key plays in the passing game. Sacks, picks, whatever it is. And they win it 17-15. Don't ask me how I got there. Just know that, obviously, I don't have high expectations for these offenses, but I do think it's a fun one, and it's entertaining. And it's the one, it'll leave bruises on your body just by watching it. It's going to be that physical. Now,
absolutely.
This one might be my favorite if I could just sit and watch a game in hooks of entertainment on a week in which there's not a lot to pick from, I'll admit. It's the Vikings and the Chargers. Minnesota in the Dome hosting LA. Both teams looking for their first win, and boy, do they need it. The Chargers, this has shifted, boys. When I checked this morning, Vikings were favored by a point. Now they're not. Now that line has moved to Chargers, favored by a point, even though only news we've got is that Eckler's not practicing yet. Over under 54. I don't know. I'm going to let Baz Daddy start with this one because I'm going to need some time to chew on it a little bit. And as I always say, can you sell me? Because right now I am looking at this spread and in firm agreement. It's a pick 'em basically.
Yeah, I agree. I think this will be one of, if not the best games of the week. I think that with both defenses, on paper, I feel like LA should have a great defense. I feel like they should not be giving up 25, 30 points a game. And at the same time, I don't really know. I don't really have much faith in Kirk Cousins. I feel like a lot of his success just even shit up to Jefferson and hoping he comes down with it. Hawkinson's been doing pretty good as well. In Minnesota, the crowd's going to be loud. It's hard for visiting teams to come in there and play. It's a loud environment. But I think that the Chargers are fucking hungry. I think that they need a meal. They haven't ate in a few weeks. And I think the Chargers are going to come in here and win this game. I think it's going to be very high scoring just because I haven't been impressed with either defense. I think Keenan Allen is going to have another good game. Give me the Chargers in this one, 32-29. It's going to be a shootout.
Wow. Yeah, heck yeah, man. Look, for me, the Chargers and Vikings are the epitome of the Spider-Man meme, right? They're just pointing at each other. Both extremely talented teams from top to bottom, but at the end of the day, they just are teams that don't know how to win. They get their team to the very end and they blow it in one way or another. That's what's going to make this game exciting. I'm predicting a very high-scoring back-and-forth shootout, just like Baz Daddy said. With that said, I think the Chargers are the better team, but they lose yet again in late fashion. I'm going to take the Vikings. Jefferson, he gets a big grab at the end, and they win the bad boy. Minnesota 31-29, also close score, Baz Daddy, just inverse.
Well, you both had a valiant effort at selling me on both of these teams. But I do settle here on the side of Matt. I think the Vikings, being the home team, it's tough to win games there, even though Baker Mayfield and company did just a couple weeks ago. It's tough to win games there. That offense usually rolls pretty hot. Now, the key will be this. Can you get anything out of the running game if you're Minnesota? We can't just put it all on Kirk Cousins. That's not his MO. But even with that in mind, Chargers defense we know has been underachieving so far. They're giving up points, 27 points to the Titans. The Titans offense, come on now. So yeah, I think no matter how you land on it, this is a back and forth shootout. And at the end of the game, it's not going to be who scores to win. It's going to be who has the ball and doesn't score. One of these quarterbacks is going to come up short. And for the last 2 weeks, that's been Justin Herbert. I guess I'm just going to assume the trend continues. Okay, we move.
Wow.
Oh, sorry.
What's your score?
Oh, great call. I have the Vikings 32, Chargers 27. So we were all within just a couple points there, and I would say most people would be. The offenses are set to shine, but anyway. Okay, we got another nooner. The Broncos really going through it, and what a terrible, terrible time to have to go play the Miami Dolphins. Over under 48, Dolphins favored by 6.5. Matt, can Denver pull off a miraculous upset here, or are they falling to 0-3, and are the Miami Dolphins going to be 3-0?
Let's start with reviewing last week's game for the Broncos. How spectacular of an ending was that? Rush just throws it up deep, puts a prayer, and guess what? God shines a light on them. They tip it around. They score a touchdown. They've got to be riding high. They don't even think about having to score a 2-point conversion. Either there's a contested pass, gets batted away. Just a beautiful heartbreak down there in Denver. No, they're not gonna bounce back. They're just not. I'm still not impressed with Russ. And as far as Miami goes, they're looking like one of the best teams in the league, if not the best right now. I think that offense keeps firing on all cylinders. And Sunday, there's going to be a frustrated Sean Payton. Miami wins 34-16, romping.
In this matchup here, do we know the health status on Waddle and Hill?
Is there a question? I honestly didn't know.
I heard a couple hours ago from an unreliable source that both guys were a little banged up, maybe.
Heard something about Waddle. I didn't know about Hill.
Well, assuming at least one of them plays, this game's down in Miami, and yeah, like Matt said, what a big letdown last week. I was watching the end of that game in the hotel, and as soon as that happened, I was thinking, like, there is no way Denver wins this game. Or there is no way Denver loses this game, I'm sorry. After a play like that, you get down there, you're pumped up, you're going to go to overtime, put in a fullback, power eye, get your guys fired the fuck up, block good, and run the ball in 2 yards. I hate throwing on the 2 yard line. Sean Payton should have known with Russell Wilson as his quarterback on the goal line, call a run play. The guy can't pass it there,
Ball back.
Exactly. Miami's going to win this game 31-24. Miami's defense hasn't really impressed me very much. And so I still have Denver, putting up a little bit of a fight. But in the end, Miami tops off down their throat.
Guys, weird to me, the Broncos, they bring in Sean Payton, a very respected coach, Super Bowl champion. And you watch this team play, and if you look at the box score, Russell Wilson, he's doing a little better, right? I think he's threw a few touchdowns through a couple games, which is more than he did last year. But this team, it feels so much of the same. The defense is playing worse. Obviously, last year, remember that run there where it was like, if the Broncos had scored 20 or more points, they'd be 11-2 right now. Like, their defense is playing out of their minds. Not so much right now. They're giving up a lot of points. But the point, no pun, is they continue to find a way to lose games. They have become one of these franchises, not all that indifferent from the Chargers, the Vikings, that they just find a way to lose games. And this week they won't have to search too damn hard because they're going to get their ass clobbered. The Miami Dolphins are on a roll. And I wonder if it's a little bit of a phase, right? Because they're doing some funky stuff the league's never seen before with the motions. What happens whenever they start to kind of figure that out, maybe by Thanksgiving. But right now, it's far too soon. Reports that, Peyton, a little bit of karma, but he said in the summer, this offense, this was one of the worst coaching jobs he's ever seen in the history of the NFL. And then he's saying now, he commented on how they couldn't get plays in time. They were getting delays of game. Well, it's happening again. And he said to the media, we're going to have to look at all options. We might have to shorten the play calls. They already are having to shorten the play calls for Russell Wilson. And it's just one more chink in the armor. This thing's going south fast. Russell will die in terms of his on-field playing for the Denver Broncos here within the next 2 months, let's say. But anyways,
Loses life.
I got Miami winning it to bring it to a close. Dolphins 30, Broncos 20, and it's not going to actually be that close. That's a late garbage time score by the Broncos.
Well, real quick, Mike McDaniel in the conversation, possibly. I know it's still premature. The season is still a toddler in terms of, it's just week 3. Mike Daniels, possible coach of the year candidate.
Absolutely.
Have we seen any good? Has there been any vape sightings yet?
I don't think you're going to see that again.
No, probably not.
Firing on all cylinders.
He just looks goofy, like a little nerd. But the guy's got to know what he's doing.
Oh, yeah.
It's not an easy task going into Foxborough and beating Belichick prime time.
But he did it. And yeah. He's got he knows what he's good at.
Anyways.
Definitely.
Sure.
Okay, we stay in the AFC. Jacksonville once again playing at home. I'm assuming it's going to be really, really hot. And they're going to face the Houston Texans. And the Jaguars are favored by 9.5. The over-under 44. Guys, I have the Jags winning this 28-17. A little bit of a get-right spot for their offense. Texans, Stroud, honestly, you look at the stat line last week, pretty impressive. 384 passing yards, no turnovers. We'll see how it goes, but it's a team that's, just getting it together. They're not ready to win, and they're not going to win much. So they lose here.
Yeah, I think Houston is pretty scrappy, honestly. I think they're going to get Damian Pierce involved more on the offense. It's going to be a close ball game. I think it really is. But at the end of the day, Trevor Lawrence, like you said, Brian, they get it right. They win this game 26-20. Best Eddie?
I think Stroud's going to be a good NFL quarterback. I just don't think he has the weapons around him. Okay, so I'm just saying, Jacksonville's been searching for their offensive identity too. I feel like this season they haven't had that game where Trevor Lawrence throws for 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. They're very well coached with Doug Peterson. They're at home. I think, like Brian said, I think this is a week where they get right against a defense that might not be the best, but they are at home. I have them pretty much pounding Houston's asshole, 38-23. Houston still puts up some points because I don't know how I'm still not 100% convinced about Jacksonville's defense yet. So I still think they put up a couple touchdowns, kick a few field goals. But Jacksonville 38, Houston 23.
Very nice. But that kind of covers that one. Not much to be said. Now, if we go to the NFC side, like we're about to, this is a big, big game for playoff implications. New Orleans, 2-0, going to Green Bay, who, their fans are going to tell you they definitely should be 2-0, and they're probably right. But any given Sunday, they're 1-1, and they're going to Lambeau as a 2-point favorite. The over/under 42. Matt, the Saints remain undefeated, or do the Packers get back on track?
This is arguably the toughest game on the entire slate, I feel like. New Orleans, obviously, they didn't look that great on Monday night. They did get the W. Kind of a similar boat with the Packers. I thought they had that game and Atlanta won, but they ended up blowing it late. I think it's going to be a close but yet somewhat sloppy game. With that said, I think Derek Carr, he leads the team to a victory. They get a late field goal. They win 24-23, and maybe the best game of the day.
Okay, so I'm going with the Packers here, guys. They're at home. They're at Lambeau Field. The only NFL team that has put up more points over the past 2 weeks is the Dallas Cowboys. The Packers have scored 62 points in the past 2 weeks.
Wow. They've
given up 45. Honestly. Yeah. And Dallas has a few defensive scores as well. I'm not sure how many Green Bay has, but still, regardless. Yeah, they've scored 62 points, which is pretty good. But I'm going to roll with Green Bay here. I think that New Orleans still keeps it close, but Green Bay wins by 1 point, 21-20.
I'm with Bass Daddy. And it's the tiebreaker for me here as Derek Carr not playing well. And I guess it's just new team, new place. I'm going to need to see it before I believe it. He's benefited so far from playing 2 offenses that are really, really bad, the Titans and the Panthers. Titans not so much, I guess. They're not good, right? But I do think Green Bay, the best offense they've seen so far. That's with or without Aaron Jones. And but I'm going to assume that he suits up and plays, and they win it 21-16. And it's going to be kind of a little bit of a slobber knocker. Okay, we stay in the NFC.
Yeah.
And guys, there's only 3 afternoon games this week. I think the NFL schedule makers really bumbled this. When you look at the games that are happening, none of these appear like they're going to be competitive. But they'll play anyway. Seattle at Lumen Field, they're going to host the Panthers. Bryce Young, maybe he plays, maybe he doesn't. He didn't practice today. Ankle injury. I personally wouldn't play him. No sense in feeding him to the Wolves in front of that crowd. But, Seattle a 6-point favorite. The over-under is 42. Bass Daddy, what say you here?
Do you think Bryce Young will play, truthfully? Or...
I don't. I don't think you let him get through the week without a full practice slate, given how bad it's gone so far. I think you give him a chance to reset. and avoid playing in this ball game.
The backup
Okay.
Q out there.
And
Oh, the Red Rifles.
Red Rocket.
Red Rocket.
Red Rocket, that's it.
Yeah. I think that the outcome, I guess, would be the same if Bryce Young played or Andy Dalton, vice versa. I could actually see maybe a 3-point. I could see maybe if Bryce Young played, they score maybe 3 more points. Him being more versatile, I guess being able to use his legs would definitely help. But Seattle, they're going to win this ball game. They're at home. They're obviously well coached. The quarterback, they got a better quarterback. They got better wideouts. I got Seattle kicking Carolina's dick in, 30-16. Okay, and it's going to be one of those games where it's not going to be good to watch.
Wow, Vast had a lot of great points there. I think Gino, he plays well again this Sunday. Lockett has another big day. DK maybe even gets a touchdown himself. Very similar scores, Bass Daddy. I have Seattle winning 29-17.
You'd like to think this is a slam dunk for the Seahawks, but lately it seems like even at home they lose games that they shouldn't. The Rams a couple weeks ago felt that way. I'm still picking them. I'm just saying nothing would surprise me, but I got them covering. Seahawks 24, Panthers 13. Panthers are in for a long year. I felt like Monday was make or break. You either win a game like that and set yourself up to be in the division hunt, or you lose and you set the tone for what's going to be a long, long year. And tone set. So here we go.
You kind of make an interesting point in Seattle. They kind of feel a lot like Detroit does to me. Like they can rise to the occasion against a great team, but when they're playing like a team that's just mid level,
They play
they can fall short.
the level of their opponents. They do.
Yeah. Yes, 100%.
But you're right about saying that about Carolina. You every week in the NFL, there's always a game or two where you see that score come across the bottom of the screen, and you're just thinking like, "Fuck, for real? Like, is that really like happening right now?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just one of those. This could be one of those games. I still think Seattle wins, but don't be surprised if you see it on the bottom of the screen. Carolina's up 13-0.
Yep.
Halfway through the second quarter. You know what I mean? Just throwing that out there.
All right, we go to Arizona. They're hosting the Dallas Cowboys, who arguably, I would say most people would say, number one in the power rankings right now, number two. The Cowboys really riding high. And we always talk about it. You got a low over-under and a massive spread. Just telling us all, hey, blowout city here. Cowboys favored by 12, over-under 43. And I'm going to buy. Vegas is saying, hey, they're teasing us a little. 12 points. Don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah, I'm going to do it and some. I got Dallas winning 37-7. Not too different than what you said earlier, Bass Daddy. This is going to be an absolute shit show where the Cowboys just...
For sure. I'm going to just hop in right behind you. Okay? I'm just going to hop in and give it to you, okay? Joshua Dobbs is going to get his ass smacked by Lawrence, by Parsons. Diggs is going to pick him off a time or two. This is not going to be a good game. Okay? This is going to be a complete fucking shit show. I've got Dallas winning this game 34-9. Okay? And 9 is even being very generous and nice. This could be this very well could be a game where Arizona scores 3 points or maybe not even a point at all. Okay. They're not going to be able to run the ball against this defense, obviously. And this secondary and these guys getting after Dobbs' asshole, okay, they're going to make his life a living hell. So I'm not going to waste any more time on it just because it's going to be such a blowout.
Boys, I think I'm going to surprise you here a little bit, guys.
Oh.
I think it's going to be a close ball game, at least for the first half. I think Dallas is going to come in a little like, you know what, we're playing the Cardinals. We're the best team in the league right now. We don't need to get up for this one. It's going to be close in the first half. I really do believe that. I do think the tide's going to turn at some point, though, and Dallas is going to eventually blow them out, and that defense is going to run on them. 31-16. Dallas gets the win.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy when you say 31-16 and that's considered close for this game, but it is. Well, we don't move in a direction too far away from that conversation here, going to Kansas City, where they host the Chicago Bears. There's a lot going on in Chicago right now, some of which we probably shouldn't talk about, some of which we could talk about.
I kind of want to talk about it.
Yeah, let's just unroll it all. But, they're going to Kansas City, and the Chiefs are a 12.5-point favorite, the over-under 47.5. So, a little bit more in the point total there. But, Matt, you said it. You want to talk about it a little bit. What do you got? Because the Bears right now, it's getting messy. I mean, it is getting really, really bad.
I'm sure you have a much better understanding of what's going on over there with the DC.
Nah.
The FBI raided his home. Is that true from what you're hearing?
I do believe that to be true. I think they came out and said that the report that they raided the Hallis Hall, which is where the team is, their headquarters. They said that wasn't true. But, to me, it does kind of smell a little bit like track coverings going on, and NFL's doing what they can to kind of distance themselves from this situation. It's not good. And
in terms of what are they trying to find, or what have they found per se?
I haven't heard, but maybe Brian has.
No, I'm being serious. I
don't know either. Yeah. I'm assuming pedophilia. I don't know. Brian maybe knows.
That is a rumor, but I don't want to go crazy with it just yet. And by the time people listen to this, maybe that's confirmed to be true or not. But I've seen that as a rumor, the child pornography.
I heard it was for health. He was resigning for health reasons. I thought maybe he had a cold, maybe strep throat. I didn't know. They said health reasons and some family, personal, So I thought maybe he just had a cold.
I even saw it floated that he just saw Mahomes on the schedule and was like, I'm good. I'm done with this defense. Whatever it is.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
He's gone. And hopefully it's not what I mentioned a bit ago. But if the FBI is raiding your home, it's not for nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, usually not a good sign. That's for sure. Yeah, I don't know what to make of that. That can't be a good sign for the Bears, and maybe it is. Maybe that defense wants to rally around whoever steps up to the interim. Maybe they want to get hyped up for old Justin Fields. I don't know, just to distract themselves from the alleged childing.
But I'm way more. Go ahead, Matt. Jump into it.
No. I want to take your take. What you got there?
I'll go first. You guys are the Chiefs fans. If I'm Chicago right now, I'm not as worried about that fucking weirdo. I'm more worried about their offense and Justin Fields coming out in the press conference talking shit on his offensive coordinator, and the play calling, saying that, it's the play calling. Maybe they're not letting me play the way I want to play and the way that I feel like I'm best. I feel like that's a big red flag, and that's going to cause a lot of problems throwing shade on his coaches. I think more of their problem lies on the offensive struggles rather than it does their defensive coordinator being a child molester. Okay. So Kansas City is at home at Arrowhead. It's so loud and it's so tough to win games there. And I have picked against Kansas City the past 2 weeks. Obviously a little concerned for their offense. Their defense looked fucking great last week. Looked amazing. Kansas City, they're going to light the fire. They're going to get it going on offense sooner or later. And I think we see that this week against this shitty defense, this shitty team overall. With that being said, I have Kansas City winning 31-13. It's not going to be a close game, I don't think. I still think Chicago puts up a few points, a touchdown, maybe a couple field goals. But overall, Kansas City's going to come out of this thing looking dominant, looking like they've got their offense figured out, clicking on all cylinders. And I think maybe the offense of Chicago lets Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is going to be able to use his legs a little bit more. I think he rushes for 75 yards, maybe even a score. but Kansas City's going to shut him down for the most part in the passing game for sure.
Yeah, it's a weird spot. It's kind of like, as a Chiefs fan here, you feel like you're getting ready to fight someone with their hands tied behind their back. And that's not a great spot to be because you can't really look good. You said it, Bad Steady. I think the offense will look good too, but how much can you really take away from that? Yeah, it's better than not. They need to look good no matter what, but it doesn't mean that all is fixed because you're facing the Chicago Bears, whose defensive coordinator just left whatever happened to him. And yeah, I also think Fields, with what he said today, they will kind of just let him play ball a little bit, take a look, take off type of thing. And that might result in a big play or two that he hasn't made in the last couple weeks. But it's still such a gap between these two teams and the talent on these two teams. So I got Kansas City winning 35-13. And, most of America will get this game, and I don't think they'll be very happy about it. But, Mahomes and Fields, they'll probably produce some exciting plays. So there's that.
Yeah, no, there's no reason for me to just totally reiterate a lot of what you guys said because I agree a whole lot on almost everything that you guys have said. But I wanted to ask you guys one question because, so many football memories going in, it's hard to keep all of them. Was Matt Nagy around when Justin Fields was in town?
For his first year.
He was. Okay, that's what I thought. So this, guy's storyline no one's talking about. Matt Nagy revenge game, fellas. The offense does get right for this one. Kansas City wins 30-13.
We all picked Chicago scoring 13 points.
How about that?
I know, it's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Sunday Night Football, Best Daddy's team back under the spotlight, but this time it's NBC and it's in Las Vegas, where the Steelers and the Raiders are going to lock horns. And I cannot believe right now, the over-under 43, fine, that makes sense, but I cannot believe Pittsburgh is a 2.5-point dog. I think it's a pick 'em at worst, and I personally, I guess I'm leading into my pick here. I would take the Steelers. I think this defense, even if it looks like Monday night and they have to score to win, I think that's what they'll do. Jimmy Garoppolo, we know he's going to throw you a couple, and they've got the guys to catch him. Minka Fitzpatrick, Cole Holcomb, maybe he catches one over the middle. Patrick Peterson. It's going to be that type of game. And I don't think that Jacobs will be able to get the running game going. It's not his fault. It's just been a struggle so far for them to run the football like they did last year. So, yeah, guys, Pittsburgh 21, Raiders 17. Don't know why they're favored. Don't think they're any good.
Yeah, super interesting game. I'm really torn on this one. I think it could go either way, honestly. But Bass Daddy kind of sold me in that opening segment with I didn't realize Pittsburgh offense was 32nd in almost every category. That has me a little bit alarmed because, yeah, I think that defense is phenomenal, but is it going to require them to score 2 defensive touchdowns to win this ball game? So I'm going to take a dark horse. Jimmy G gets it done, guys. 26-24 in another classic Raiders-Steelers ball game.
I feel like the offense obviously is still struggling to find an identity. I don't know if that identity will be found under Canada. I really don't. But after hearing the 68,000 fans at Acrisure Stadium Monday night chanting "Fire Canada," and after Tomlin getting questioned about it, in his press conference, I think that Canada is going to expand the play calling a little bit. Maybe instead of calling the same 10 plays, maybe he bumps it up to 15 or 20. Maybe he decides, hey, George Pickens, he's not that bad. He's got some decent hands. He's got some speed. Might try to target him 4 or 5 times instead of twice. I feel like he might decide to roll the dice a little bit more. Maybe he feels like his cock's on the chopping block. I think the offense looks quite a bit better this Monday night. I think they put up more points this Monday night than what they have the past 2 weeks. I've got Pittsburgh winning this game 28-20. And, TJ Watt is amazing. He's a wrecking machine. right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers, you're looking for a team picture. Just put his fucking picture there. He's the team. What nobody's really talking about, though, is Alex Highsmith.
Put in one there too.
You know, I brought him up before the season started. Yeah, I brought him up before the season started. I knew that he was going to be great. He got paid a big amount of money. You got somebody over there though, you know, on the left side that is no, you got somebody on the left side that's drawing a lot of double teams. It's obviously going to make the guy on the other side better.
Mm-hmm.
But Alex Highsmith is a fucking dog. He's great. And I think that they're, you know, and playing Deshaun Watson, he's more of a mobile quarterback. He can evade pressure. He can get out of harm's way sometimes. Garoppolo ain't going to be running away from Highsmith and TJ Watt. So I'm going to go ahead and call it right now. Steelers are going to have 8 or 9 sacks in this game. And yeah, I think that they're going to pretty much just anally have sex with the Raiders against their will. Like I said, I got Pittsburgh winning this game 28-20.
If you want to be, because I know, Matt, you picked the Raiders. We didn't. But if you want to make the case for the Raiders, the offense being predictable, Max Crosby's the kind of guy, you can be a unpredictable offense and he'll still have a pretty good feel for what you're doing and blow up plays that he just studied on film. So it's like, man, if he has an easy week in the film room and feels like every single time he knows exactly what to expect, then maybe that's their path to victory. But I still think Watt and Highsmith will make just a few more plays than Crosby does because he's outnumbered. And Pittsburgh's just a better team, so they get to 2-1. We then go to Monday night. It's another doubleheader, guys. I think we've talked about this before. I'm not a huge fan of these doubleheaders because they're not doubleheaders. They run together. And
what's going on with the doubleheader Monday night bullshit? Is that going to be something that's ongoing? Or
I think this is the last week. They only are doing it for a couple weeks. Don't know why. Don't know why they stopped doing it week 1 if you're just going to still do it in 2 and 3. But yeah, this is the last one for, I believe, the rest of the season. So that's positive in my mind. Because you just, I don't know.
Okay.
Like, let's just say they started one of the games at 4 o'clock and the other one at 7. That's better, but then you're going to miss some of that game because it's 4 o'clock on a Monday. So there's just no winning. Play one game, or, Matt, I know you're already thinking it, do the West Coast special and start one of them at 9 p.m. Central Time. So you're basically just stuck staying up all night, wreck your sleep week for the rest of it, and just deal with the consequences for the sake of the game and the love of football. So we have, opening it up this week, it's going to be Buck and Aikman in Tampa Bay, Philadelphia Eagles visiting Baker Mayfield's Bucks. The Eagles are a 4.5-point favorite. The over-under is 45.5. Matt, can Mayfield pull another rabbit out of this hat? Or do the Eagles start to kind of look like their old selves a little bit? I think their offense, similar to Kansas City, they're not quite what they were, but is it in there? Probably.
Yeah, no, Brian, before we get into that, you're absolutely right. You did read my mind. I was definitely thinking West Coast special. For a second, I was thinking the next game was being played in LA. I was like, perfect. We're doing the West Coast special, but we're not. Dang. Let down. Yeah, this game's going to be a good one, though. Philly, Tampa. Baker's playing good ball right now. And if you compare that to the Deshaun Watson contract right now, it's looking really bad for the Browns. I don't know that it's going to stay that way, but right now, you can't be pleased if you're in Cleveland. But I think Philly's going to get a W here. They're going to play some good ball. You know, they're not looking their sharpest yet this season. I don't think they're going to in this game either, but they are going to get the victory 29-24. You know, they're going to get the classic rugby sneaks in when they need to and just, you know, get the game right whenever it's necessary. So, yeah, Philly gets the dub. A.J. Brown gets also back in the mix in this one.
Yeah, I can agree. To be honest with you, after the Eagles selected Jalen Carter, I was expecting this Philadelphia defense to look a hell of a lot better than what it has so far. Personally, I'm not saying it's looked horrible. I just honestly expected it to be a little better. But yeah, you're right. Comparing that, I mean, the quarterback play in Cleveland compared to, what Baker's doing right now. Baker's got some good weapons. I'm still taking Philadelphia in this matchup, but I could definitely see it being one where, at some point you look at the TV, Tampa Bay's up, 14-3, or 17-7. Ultimately, they get the running game going against Tampa Bay, and I think this will be a game where A.J. Brown gets back in the mix. Give me Philadelphia. This is going to be a very high-scoring affair. I'm not sure what the over is, but I'm going to give you some very good legal gambling advice. Take the fucking over, whatever it is. Philadelphia wins this game 33-27.
I've got the Eagles winning as well. I've got them winning 26-17. Because I think Tampa's defense, in large part, is kind of what carries that team right now. Would it shock me if it was closer than this? Absolutely not. Would it shock me if it was worse than this? No. Don't forget, guys, it was a couple years ago, the Buccaneers, they, really gave Jalen that tough playoff game. And I know a lot's changed. A lot has changed. But obviously, their defense had a little something to give, Todd Bowles maybe a little something to give that maybe it gives them a fighting chance on a Monday night. We'll see, but yeah, clean sweep across the board. Philly wins, goes to 3-0. And then the nightcap, it's the LA Rams going to face the Cincinnati Bengals first time since Super Bowl 56. This time, though, it will not be played in SoFi Stadium. It will be at Paycor. Cincinnati, the Bengals are favored by 3 right now. Over under 44. That line has moved a little bit, and I'm sure that's uncertainty about Burrow. First practice reports will be coming out Thursday. All right, well, I'll just start real quick, guys. I am going to go ahead and make the assumption that Burrow does play, but once again, maybe just a little too soon. And the way Sean McVay has coached so far this year, and Matt Stafford has played pretty well too. He's appeared healthy. Very impressive. And this is the kind of team where they're not going to be afraid to play in Cincinnati on Monday night. They're going to be mentally stable and ready to perform. This isn't the Carolina Panthers. They're going to be locked in. And I think the pressure mounts. But I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm picking the Rams to win this game right now. And I'm picking them to win it 24-17 in another very frustrating offensive game for the Bengals where the Boo Birds come out a couple times. And it's like, maybe people saying, oh, Burrow, you shouldn't be out there. Or let's just be in the pretend world where he doesn't play. Well, you're probably screwed anyway. Jake Browning or whoever their quarterback is, it's over if that happens. But so I'm kind of hedging here a little bit just in case Burrow doesn't play. But yeah, I'm picking the Rams straight up. I think they win.
I'll hop right in behind Brian again here, just because I have Cincinnati scoring 17 points as well. I feel like if Zach Taylor was smart, he would say, you know what, Burrow, I want you to walk over there to the bench. I want you to just sit your little ass down, and we're going to rest that calf an extra week. Burrow's one play away, one hit away from this injury here turning into him being out 6 to 8 weeks. And then if that happens, their season is for sure done. If I'm Zach Taylor, I'd much rather start 0-3 and give my franchise high-paid quarterback an extra week to get 100% right, 100% comfortable. You got to think if Burrow plays in this game, it's going to be in his head. Okay, Aaron Donald coming at you. I think that the Rams are more well coached. And I think that, the Rams are going to be ready to play this game. Okay. Seeing what they did against, Shanahan and that 49ers defense and that 49ers offense. I was really shocked that they kept it as close as what they did. I'm with Brian here. I got the Rams winning this game 27-17.
Wow. Yeah, guys, again, I have to echo a lot of what you guys said. I think Sean McVay is going to want to look great in this national spotlight. Not a lot of people had a lot of hope in the Rams coming into this season. They're going to be playing thought to be one of the better teams in the league. He's going to pull off the upset. He's going to go into their home turf and get the W. And guys, I'm with you. Either we're going to look like the dumbest podcast on the face of the earth or the smartest, because all three of us picked the Rams to win this game. I've got the Rams winning 27-23. Wow.
What's crazy is 3 weeks ago, you look at this matchup in Cincinnati, the Rams versus the Bengals. Who would have thought?
Yeah,
it just blows my penis off.
Sure does. Yeah, I actually remember looking ahead. I like to look ahead at some of the primetime games, and I thought, man, really that's not going to do it. NFL, come on. But yeah, you look at it now, and I'm kind of excited for it. I think no matter what, it's going to be tight. It'll be close. Donald's going to take a head off. Well, that will do it. Week 3 preview in the books. If you've made it this far, first off, congratulations. Hell of a marathon. Your stamina is to be respected and recognized, quite frankly. But we appreciate you joining as always. And we would really appreciate your likes, your subscribes, your follows. If you subscribed already, unsubscribe, do it again. Okay, get us going, pump us in that algorithm. And we're just going to keep staying at it, riding the horse all the way through. It's only week 3. Don't let the time fly and scare you, right? Season's going to go fast, but live in the moment. Week 3. That's what matters right now. And jobs are on the line. And some jobs are already gone. Chicago. For the rest of the boys here, anything to be...
Not football related, but that job is gone.
Don't take a day for granted in this league. I mean...
Leave them kids alone, guys.
It's about the journey, not the destination, even if it's prison.
Damn sure. Yeah, in that case. He thought he was going to get on the party.
Leave them kids alone and stick to watching NFL, guys.
Couldn't have put it better. All right. W2F, follow us, and peace.